Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Scale to Exit with Alejandra Santos. I am so happy you're here. If you're new, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you've been here before, thank you for stopping by. We love to have you guys here. This is a podcast where I bring experts at their field, M&A, advisors, brokers, consultants, founders that have exited their business, marketing people, you name it, all here coming together to help you bridge the gap between building a business and a sellable asset. So I keep hearing stories about how someone that wanted to retire created this huge business on a multi-million dollar figure and had to settle down with a low offer, low valuation with a PE company because one, they didn't have a family member to pass it on, or they didn't want to invest more of the time to increase that valuation. So these things happen. This is real world scenarios. And if you're listening right now, this is the platform where you can grab insights and strategies and so many learnings that people come in here and talk about to help you build a sellable asset. Because I don't want you to settle for a 2x, 1x valuation. I want you to go for a high multiple X, 5x, whatever it is in your industry, because you deserve it, because you work on your business 50 years, and there's nobody else that deserves it more than you. So this is a podcast for that, and welcome, welcome, welcome. And today I'm very excited to bring over our guest. Today I am joined by Denise Aguilar. She's a global marketing strategist and startup advisor who has helped scale businesses from scrappy startups to a global giants like Microsoft and Amazon. She was named one of Puget Sound Business Journal's 40 Under 40 in 2025. She brings a powerful mix of digital strategy, AI innovation, and cultural insight to the table. So in this podcast episode, we're going to talk about bootstrapping, tech stacks, lead gen, and what it really means to build a customer advocacy in today's noisy market. We also talk about and dive into the strategies that you can put into place for PR without really needing to hire an expensive PR agency. So if you are a business owner, a founder, an entrepreneur, that you're looking for smart, actionable marketing strategies that actually scale and that are actually cost conscious, this one is for you. So we are streaming in all platforms, and we're actually streaming in a few communities. So thank you so much for tuning in to Scale to Exit. We put a lot of effort and energy into each episode. Please, again, if you're tuning in from Spotify, iTunes, Zoom, YouTube, please make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Mainly share and subscribe, because sharing is caring, right? And there's a lot of people out there that really need to hear this message that they can build a sellable asset. I don't want anybody else to sell their business for a low valuation. I am on a mission to bridge that gap. And I'm going to go ahead and bring her in. So thank you for tuning in, and I will see you on the other side. All right. Well, welcome to Scale to Exit, Denise Aguilar. I'm actually very excited to have you here because you're a global marketing strategist, a startup advisor, an entrepreneur, super passionate to help startups, and you have worked with huge companies like Microsoft and Amazon. You are named 2025 Puget Sound Business in your journal 40 Under 40 honoree, which I don't even think you're in your 30s, but okay. But I'm very excited to have you here. I want to lead with the first question. What drives your passion on helping companies like startups and, Microsoft really establish a footprint in the market and scale to a level that they can exit?
That's a great question, Alejandra. And first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm so grateful for this opportunity to connect with you, as well as hopefully share some nuggets that will hopefully impact your listeners and watchers. So thank you again for this. Oh man. So where to start? What drives me? Honestly, I think it all started with college. And for example, there are so many people even today that believe that pursuing an MBA will solve the world's problems with creating new products, getting it out there, and making your next big sale. I remember when I was pursuing my master's degree, I just really took a long time to understand and also just pursue the idea of should I even go the MBA route or should I go a different route?
Mm-hmm.
And in my undergrad, I studied communications and business,
Mm-hmm.
just in case. And then when it was time to decide on what to understand and what to study in my higher education, I actually landed on a communications degree for my master's program. And the reason is because I actually wholeheartedly still today believe that no matter what happens, you can create a product, you could create an event, you could create anything. But if no one knows of its existence, then you will not survive as a business. And so when it comes back to helping startups and enterprises with their business, I'm very much asking for ownership of what is the business model, how are they functioning, what are the operations, so then it could inform me on the marketing strategies.
Mm-hmm.
Because the main goal is for awareness and of course sales.
Mm-hmm.
But to get to sales, people need to know you exist.
Mm-hmm.
And there's so many methodologies and platforms and practices to let one person know of your business existence. And so that's why I'm so passionate about it, because when we look at different groups and sectors, the data already shows when it comes to women, women of color, we're not getting as much sales per se compared to those who have historically been in business.
Mm-hmm.
And that really drives me intensely, and more so with the rise of AI. So, with the inclusion of that, I really want to help businesses understand the impact of that and how they can actually uplift their communities through marketing.
Mm-hmm. And I really love that you're so passionate and you're in the right place and in the right time, helping minority and like women, increase their sales and like their be more, of the part of the economy that we are, but people don't really see that we are, right? We are the ones that are driving a lot of the consumer behavior, shopping patterns. I mean, we tell men how to shop, what to wear, what not to wear. And we own that decision making. So we have a lot of like purchasing
Mhm.
power. And I'm so happy that you are actually supporting a lot of us get to the next level. What is like, because you've worked with startups and like enterprises, and you're also a first generation Afro-Latina, right, that have played a major role in shaping businesses. What has been a role that has cleared and identify you like this?
Great question. Where did it start? A role? That's a really great question. Honestly, I think it's even before the role, is just the upbringing. My
Mm-hmm.
upbringing in a Afro Latina Colombian household,
Mm-hmm.
having an immigrant grandmother, an immigrant parent,
Yeah.
showing me how they navigate the world inspired me to push even further.
Mm-hmm.
Because my thinking has always remained,
Mm-hmm.
if my mom and my grandmother can move continents,
Mm-hmm.
then I too have the strength and the capacity to do great things.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's not easy
Mm-hmm.
at all. And so that's a constant reminder. And then everything else just falls right under that. And I think my career actually shows that, because I started out in fashion, then moved over to PR, then moved over to tech. So I've been in many different industries, but still the same through line, which is marketing, or at least communications as a whole.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's what really pushes me. And then having the awareness of living in two different countries.
Mm-hmm.
So as a kid, I used to live in Colombia for 3 to 4 months out of the year. So my entire summer, when school was over, I was on a flight to Colombia to spend the entire summer there and then come back to the States for school. And having that dual experience has only shaped my drive as well as how I communicate to others and what I pursued, which again, marketing to me
Mm-hmm.
is such a global practice,
Mm-hmm.
and we need to have a global perspective whenever we're executing not just marketing, but really communication strategies,
Mm-hmm.
because we need all tools to get the message or XYZ out the door.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about that. Okay, amazing story, by the way. And I can 100% relate to that because we're both like coming from like families that immigrated, and we see their fights and we see their resilience, and we're like, we're not giving up. We're doing this. We're putting our stamp in the world. So we're just
Yes, we are.
like going way through. We're like we're
Mhm.
fighting. But let's talk about those communication strategies though, because I do see that there's a lot of the messaging for just startups and small businesses, I don't think it doesn't matter what growth level a business is at. The messaging and the communication is still one of the biggest problems in identifying their target audiences. So, what are some communication and marketing strategies that you help and advise others to implement in their business, no matter the stage?
Yeah, let's talk about the communication strategies before we even get into the businesses that I directly
Mm-hmm.
impacted,
Mm-hmm.
because communication to me is a reflection of your lived experiences. Yes, you can use, at least today, you can use AI to spit out a strategy for you. Fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Or before AI, then you could just do traditional research on like Forrester and Gardner, Harvard Business Review, or just Google really anything to get you to hopefully a strategy framework that will benefit your business.
Mm-hmm.
But what I've learned, especially in corporate scaling enterprise businesses, such as Microsoft and the likes, those who are in the room really do impact how the strategy is even executed or even ideated. Let's go back another step. So what I'm trying to say is that when it's a homogenous room, you're going to get homogenous results.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And we see that, as you mentioned, we see that in the marketplace every single time,
Mm-hmm.
even in commercials.
Mm-hmm.
Even when they try to be diverse with their commercials, but it's still, if the room is homogenous, you're going to get homogenous results. If you're catching what I'm saying.
Yes, I do.
So for me, I've always been a passionate believer and advocate to diversify the room, and not because of, oh, diversity, we need to uplift everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, that is obviously important, but in today's climate, it's more about business sense. If you want to make the most dollars, then you should target people who look like you and more. So in other words, have a diverse set of people in the room so they could speak to their target audiences in a way that actually makes sense.
Mm.
Because imagine someone from a different culture telling another culture how to be, how to live.
Yeah.
It's like an American creating a marketing campaign in French.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, that happens all the time, but culturally, you're going to miss a few things. There's only so much you can translate
Yes.
with tools and not have that nuance captured. I remember, as a story, I remember when I used to work at, wow, so many different jobs, but the first one I remembered was for PR for the travel agency world. And I need to translate everything into Spanish. Now, luckily, I had that background already and much more fluent back then. So it was easy to not just translate directly from English to Spanish, but also catch the nuances where the audiences will understand what are we talking about and to sound authentic.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing when it comes to large campaigns such as the ones from Microsoft. For example, I remember some of my colleagues, who are from the States would translate things. They'd be like, oh, Denise, can you take a second look? And then I would. I'm like, hey, what did you use to translate this? Oh, I used XYZ tool. I'm like, hey, this isn't even directly translated. It's missing a few things. The nuances in there. Which country are we sending it to? Because Spanish isn't consistent across all Latin America and Spain. It's different. So who are we talking to? So then I could ask maybe the actual Mexican in the room or the Argentinian or the Colombian to be like, hey, is this reaching your audiences?
Oh, I love that. So basically, in communication strategies, just like really focus on the culture. Like if you're gonna have speaking to American culture, ask an American, is this what I'm doing is speaking to you? Because then that as a sample will speak to the audience. And if it's a Mexican, go to the one person that can guide you through it, not just pretend that this is universal and everybody can understand. Okay.
Exactly. And if you can't find this person in your said company, then obviously now we're talking about a bigger a bigger issue.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, what are your hiring practices? Are you actually bringing everyone to the table? Is everyone even given the same access to
Mm.
see and take those jobs as
Mm-hmm.
well? So going back to DEI, it's not about raw DEI. It's about
Mm-hmm.
sales.
Yeah.
Does your business want to make money?
Mm.
Then you should learn how to speak to a larger audience, a target audience, so that you're able to then sell to them.
I love that. So you're bringing diversity into a whole new different perspective and tying it down in a way that I feel like people have not actually seen it that way into sales. Like diversity is not just because we want to be diverse. We're basically saying leverage on diversity to sell to other cultures and expand your target audience accordingly. Okay, that's really cool. And in
Authenticity. It's about
authenticity.
authenticity.
Hmm. And in marketing, how do you blend in with the marketing side?
Yeah. So thank goodness I have a great expertise with lead generation campaigns where you do have to specifically call out who are the target audiences you want to reach
Mm-hmm.
and where. So not just the who, but the where and the how,
Mm-hmm.
really everything. So every time we have a campaign, for example, say it's security technologies blended with AI and they want to increase their sales down the road, but first we have to create awareness, right? That
Mm-hmm.
this product even exists.
Mm-hmm.
Then I like to look into those specific audiences. Who's using it? How are they using it? Have they used it?
Mm-hmm.
Answering all those questions so then you can understand the white space to infuse your product in there. So for example, if there are a lot of, let's use AI. If there's a lot of AI solutions that are in the awareness phase of, hey, we exist, we're out here, we have ads on TV or we have paid ads on social media, great. Maybe that's too noisy. So maybe you move down the funnel. It's like, okay, maybe you could be the first AI business to run out the gate with free trials. Of course, we know that exists already, but say you're the first one to run with free trials. If you feel like that's already infiltrated, then hey, how about you are the one to create experiential experiences? So then people can test the stuff in real life and not just in theory, oh, there's AI, but how does that look like in your day to day? What is your day to day?
Mm-hmm.
Let's teach you, let's show you how that works in person.
Mm-hmm.
So there's so many ways to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, in the end, sales, because the business needs to live at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah.
But yeah, let's talk about the marketing funnel. Where can you start? Where does your business have the expertise to thrive? Because each phase is going to cost you.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing is free.
Mm-hmm.
So awareness can be very bootstrapped. You could use word of mouth, but
Mm-hmm.
then once you go down the funnel, you're going to have to put some dollars behind it to be able to target the right audiences and convert them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Where have you seen in the marketing funnel, because you work with startups and more established businesses, where have you seen that there's a lot of mistakes being done by startups and big businesses? Do they even overlap? Like, do they make the same mistakes but on different scale? Yeah.
Great question. And to my experience, it's yes, because the playbook, right? Everyone has a similar playbook.
Yeah.
In terms of marketing, I feel like there is an echo chamber of like, these are things you need to do. These are the 10 steps. I'm like, well, is it applicable to everything? Because at least the marketing books I'm reading is pretty consistent. And also consistent with who is writing it. So I'm excited to see more diverse voices also own the marketing space too in terms of their expertise and their strategies. So what I'm seeing for especially for startups, but I also see on the enterprise side, is they spend so much money upfront. For example, like PR, lead gen, those two really. And especially for startups, I have heard so many times, oh, I'm a new business and I hired a PR company. Have you even made a profit? Like, why are you spending money yet? I fully believe that everyone, especially in the startup land, should bootstrap their marketing strategies. They should really just use their word of mouth,
Yeah.
reach out to hopefully their friends and family. And if you don't have that, then really be intense with pushing out content, right? Blogs still work.
Mm-hmm.
You can still link back.
Mm-hmm.
People, AI needs to still grab information that's out in the world to be able to spit something out to you.
Mm-hmm.
So writing blogs about your business or as a thought leader is still highly important.
Yeah.
Another bootstrap item that startups can do is social media.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you could pay a social media firm to do it, or again, I don't believe you should spend that much money up front. So do it yourself. And also, if you do it yourself, then you learn how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
You actually get to listen to your audience directly instead of having another agency tell you what your audience is saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You have a direct relationship with them.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you said that bootstrapping and that no matter of small startup phase or enterprise phase, they all just overload the beginning stage of marketing. I love that you say that because I feel like that's where we fall short, like with PR, with social media. Even though if you do it, like if you don't put money in ads, right, everything converts shorter. Like it has, I mean, longer. Like it takes longer time to convert into a client. What are some strategies that you think people can do bootstrapping to move the needle faster when they're scaling?
What I have done personally is, and I hope that every entrepreneur has a network of friends because in the end, your network is your net worth.
Yeah.
I like to say that all the time. It's like, look, make friends. Step one, make some friends. But then step two, in terms of bootstrapping, this is the phase, especially in the beginning, where you really need to lean on your community. So if you don't have a community, find a community because people do want to help. People really do want to help, especially if you believe in your own business
Yeah.
because you already invested in your business.
Yeah.
It's harder to sell the idea to someone when you just have a little sheet of paper. Oh, I have this idea. I was like, did you even start?
Yeah.
Did you invest in a platform, meaning something simple like a Wix or a Squarespace site?
Yeah.
Coming soon, just something. Show that you invested in yourself for other people to then want to invest into you. And so when it comes to bootstrapping, the more the merrier. So hopefully you have like a deck that showcases your business, what you're trying to do. And depending on the business, then of course we can go down deeper into an actual strategy. But depending on the business, you could then ask your friends to either, hey friend, I have this, can you network on my behalf? Because they have friends too.
Yeah.
Or, hey friend, can you spread the word? Or, hey friend, can you also post this on your social media channels? Find the friends that have high followings and that are willing to help you as well. You know, I always tell my mentees, closed mouth, closed door. So you will never know until you just ask.
Yeah.
Just ask. And especially in today's climate where there's extreme layoffs in specific sectors, there are people available to help you. So
Yeah. No, I like that you say that to networking is really important. Do you think that influencers is something that, I mean, you can now do micro influencers or a shorter amount of budget. Do you think that's a good strategy for startups that are, very lean to use?
I think so. That's when I say to my owners, okay, show me the numbers, meaning how much runway do you have?
Yeah.
Because if you don't have enough runway, I still stick to do not spend
Yeah.
one penny on
Yeah.
your marketing
Yeah.
until you are at a more sophisticated level.
Yeah. Yeah. And most of the times, what I see is that sometimes you don't even have to fundraise or get a loan or anything like that because the problem doesn't get solved with money. It gets solved with going out there and getting the client, going out there and getting the, putting in the shelf or, going to a farmer's market and do a booth or whatever it is, right? Into
Hmm.
like showcasing it more. But people tend to rely more on like, but I do need money to do this expensive marketing because that's the only way of growing the business.
My anxiety. I was like, no, save your money. Save your money for when you really need it, like paying your employees or yourself. And I love that you brought up basically, I call it going door to door. I know that you and I, we probably grew up in a generation where it was still very acceptable and normal because the internet, sure, the internet existed, but not every business was on the internet. So you still had to go door to door to talk to. The memories are flooding. You still had to go door to door. And sure, you probably will get rejected a lot. But door to door is so invaluable because one, they're putting a face to your name. Two, your presence is the present.
Yeah.
Your presence literally will open up those doors because worst case scenario, you go knock on a business, right? Or a farmer's market, wherever you're going, and the decision maker isn't there, you still show up in person. So then you have created a trust with said person to then speak to the decision maker who will give you a stronger chance. You're cutting through the noise.
Yeah.
There's so many people, especially in 2025, who are relying a lot on technologies, which is good. But when it comes to marketing, aka sales, that relational piece is everything. Everything, because it will make or break you. You're competing against global companies. No matter what size you are, we're at a global stage. Everything's online.
Yeah.
So how are you going to cut through the noise? You could spend more money on ads, of course.
Yeah. Of course.
The Super Bowl is a great example. You can spend some good millions to cut through the noise. Or the freeway, go door to door. Just go door to door. You automatically cut everybody in line who are in the email inbox waiting for a reply. You're there in person. And then when my mom taught me, I remember back in the day, and when I say back in the day, early 2000s, when I got my job, I also was going door to door. And instead of just having a regular printout on a like copy paper, you invest in the type of paper. Get the cotton blend, do a L Woods and spray a little perfume on it. Don't go too hard. But these little things really do set you apart from everybody else who either is looking to get your business or even get a job.
Yeah.
Same skill set.
Yeah.
It's all transferable.
I love that you said what's reviving now is the print mail. Now people are using more print mail than the newsletter. So now you get more flyers in your mailbox just because of new businesses or whatever is going on. I think that's pretty neat because yeah, you and I grew in that generation where everything there was no internet. I mean, I don't. I grew up through the generation that was like toot, 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 toot.
Oh, the dial up. Yes, that was patience. That required some patience.
So like I remember the beginning of internet, and not every business was online. And some of those businesses had to create a digital presence in order to
Hmm.
survive. So like talking about that digital transformation, how can you do digital transformation? Obviously, I think we touched base a little bit on this, but can we expand without like over engineering your whole operations too early?
That's a great question. And I am a strong believer in digital transformation. That's usually the first thing I tell my clients when I audit them. I'm like, okay, are you on the cloud, on prem, hybrid? First, move everything on the cloud because you might lose the information.
Yeah.
And then, secondly, um, I do believe that everything should be seamless when it comes to your operations of a business because you never know. And also, it allows you to work anywhere. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have to go, I don't know, to France or to Japan, you can still take your business everywhere. You don't have to be like, oh my God, my files are still at the brick and
Yeah.
mortar space. And that's another talk too. When I get asked, oh, should I do brick and mortar? It's like, are you ready to pay rent? Are you ready for this? But when it comes to digital transformation compared to traditional modes of marketing, I actually think both are necessary because if we're thinking about how to target and reach an audience, well, the more the merrier, right? Based on your budget, going back to bootstrapping, I still strongly believe in doing as much as you can in terms of sweat equity for your business.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you actually have the funds and the runway to do so, then of course invest into that. And I do believe in hiring agencies because they could do more
Mm-hmm.
compared to say the founders because
Mm-hmm.
you're busy
Mm-hmm.
basically fundraising for your business, ensuring that it's alive. And you could give then the experts, the SMEs, everything else that has been adding to your plate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but going back to digital transformation, it's key now because if it's not digital, number one, or if it's not in a way that's organized online, then how can you run? How can you scale? How
Mm-hmm.
can you help other people run your business?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and that's a really important one. How to make people run? How does your business run without you, right? Because if you have a business and it doesn't run without you, then what are we doing? We're not scaling to an exit. We are just doing the whatever we can do for to be in the moment. So you've been in marketing at all stages, startup all the way to enterprise. What has been the transformation that you have seen, that you work with somebody that went from a startup to a huge um, small or medium sized business, and how did that like shape the whole team, and what was the experience with that transformation?
Yeah, crazy. The short answer, I think for any business to successfully scale, it goes back to having your tech stack
Mm.
clear.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It has to be so crisp.
Yeah.
And luckily, we have platforms out there or suites out there
Yeah.
that people can easily purchase. Again, that it costs money. So, like Salesforce has a suite, depending on what your needs are.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft has a suite, and they talk to each other, which is great. Google has a suite. So, I think every time I advise a business and they tell me I want to become a big business with X amount of dollars, X amount of customers, in X amount of countries, I'm like, cool. So if you're really going to scale, then let's talk about your tech stack before you do anything else.
Okay.
Because what's really painful is you start, say a person with a small business starts with, a bunch of free tools, a
Mm-hmm.
free Gmail,
Mm-hmm.
a free Wix platform, but then you start scaling.
Mm-hmm.
Then you need PII. So you need some privacy protections as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Mm-hmm.
Then you, then you scale globally. So you need some GDPR. You need a lot of other things. And if you don't have the right foundation,
Yeah.
then what you're going to do is you're going to constantly go back to your tools, which hold everything you need for your business, and you have to keep restarting and restarting and restarting. And then if you have a team, reteach
Mm-hmm.
and start over. And you might even lose your data, you're going to lose information,
Mm-hmm.
which has happened.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever I do talk to any startup business and they're like, I'm going to scale this big, I'm like, let's be really intentional
Mm-hmm.
on your tech stack because it's hard to migrate
Mm-hmm.
after. Even if every business is like, oh, it's easy to migrate to our tools.
Mm.
Every enterprise ops person will tell you it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. You have to move so many files, ensure that things are still protected, um, ensuring that it's working smoothly. So that to me is the key piece.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure you know what tech stack you're going to use
Mm-hmm.
and it scales with you. And if you don't, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But just know that you're going to go through a little bit of pain, but hopefully that pain will get you to the joy.
So that's really important too. That the tech stack. I'm so glad that you brought that up because even companies that are making money like over $1 million or $2 million in revenue. When I talk about startups, I don't. People are like, oh yeah, pre-revenue company that doesn't have any money, but I'm like, no, a small business can also behave like a startup because they don't have really the infrastructure that they need to really behave like a true business, and the business is still running on the owner. So I'm glad that you brought that up. And now with tools like AI, like how can small businesses and startups leverage, AI to not only to not replace the marketing and the growth strategy, but to complement to it.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And going back to startup slash small business slash business,
Yeah,
I think they're all synonymous.
they're all
It's just, it's all synonymous. It's like, come on, come on.
yeah.
Let's be real here. It's like
Sometimes,
taking money from a VC or taking money from a bank. You still
yeah.
took it for somebody else, therefore they own it, not you.
I'm so glad you said that. Sometimes I have to say like startup founder, entrepreneur, business owner, because I'm like everybody just identifies themselves so differently.
And for a reason, right?
Yeah,
Because, marketing, trust, affirmations,
yeah,
whatever you want to call it. But in the end, it's all synonymous to me, at least.
yeah.
And so for this small business owner, for this entrepreneur, how can they generate, or at least how can they use AI to their benefit? I love right now AI for content generation. So going back to bootstrapping and creating that awareness, that buzz, getting the information out there. Sure, you can, and I can see why companies pay so much for PR agencies and marketing agencies to do this for them,
Yeah.
naturally.
Yeah.
But in the beginning, the more authentic, the better. No one should be expecting this extremely high designed asset. And if they do, that's fine. But you're a startup business, so show that you're a startup business, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And when it comes to AI, what's awesome is that you can use it to generate your own content.
Mm-hmm.
So all the blogs you need. So when people are searching for XYZ, generally, hopefully your business comes up on the results
Mm-hmm.
page because you have all this content to back you up.
Mm-hmm.
Or same thing with social media. Yeah, you could spend a lot of time thinking about what am I going to post? What's the story? Or create 3 to 6 beats. That's what they use in journalism, like 3 to 6 like foundations that your business stands on. And then in those 3 to 6 beats, then you could create posts, stories, reels based on that. So then it all fits in the theme of your social media pages and it's consistent across all of them. And I repeat, consistency is key.
Okay.
There's too many times, especially in the enterprise side,
Mm-hmm.
where they have a LinkedIn, they have an Instagram, they have a Facebook, and then I'm reading across all of them, like, why is the bio or the about me section so different? Like, one, it's the same company. Shouldn't it be the same? I was like, just copy and paste. It's not that complicated. So these little things that will help establish trust with your audiences, but also save time. Don't make it hard. Copy paste across all your social media and then use AI to help you generate that content.
Mm-hmm.
And when the time comes, or if you have more time, then of course write your own,
Mm-hmm.
but then you can still use AI to help you fix it grammatically or the flow, or even ask AI to be like, hey, does this reach my audience? Things like that.
I love that. So you said pick themes, right? Six whatever themes, and then from there and be consistent on those themes in your content strategy, and then from there do blogs, videos, whatever it is,
Exactly.
but in the six themes. Okay.
Hmm.
Interesting. All right. That's
And this is just the awareness
yeah.
phase. We're not even on the lead generation side, which is the end of the funnel. That's a whole different strategy.
How is that strategy for the lead generation part?
Yeah, like you wanted to gated content to capture the information, whether it's a video,
Mm-hmm.
which is great for gated content,
Mm-hmm.
or say it's a webinar. So video, what I mean is just a regular like 3 to 5 minute video showcasing the product or having a talking head
Mm-hmm.
describing, hey, this is what we do, this is what we've done, or this is what's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Now, different from a webinar where you could have, multiple people or still one person, a talking head, discussing XYZ of whatever it is, but putting it behind a gated content to make it valuable for the end user. And I think too, you have more buy-in. Sure, they're not paying for that gated content, but by having a user submit all their information, one, privacy, two, they're buying more into your brand, into your product because they really want to know. And they're also giving you permission to hopefully to follow up with them if they check the box.
I love that. So that's something very interesting. So you said there is a lot of content for for awareness of the brand, and there's also content for actually lead generation, which is completely different for one another. So it's not just you don't do the same thing in both stages. You basically say on the lead generation one, you do something more complex, like a webinar where there's a little bit more value added, or videos with more value added, 5 minutes, in order to engage the crowd more. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, think of it like a dinner almost. And maybe that's not the best example, but I love food. So
Love it. I love it too.
so so think of it like, we have the appetizers, we have like a little amuse bouche, then we have the main course, and then we have dessert. And usually, if someone, a diner, gets the dessert base, they're hopefully bought into the restaurant because you made it that far
Yeah.
into so many plates. Same thing with lead generation, or at least the marketing funnel. You have the piece to whet their appetite, literally, and then you could draw them in further with hopefully the main dish, and then you draw them in even further with the buy-in, the advocacy, because usually by then diners would then spread the word to their friends. They're like, oh my God, I love this restaurant so much. I ate this thing, I ate this, and it was great. And then they're advocates, they are ambassadors. Same thing in the marketing side. If your user or customer makes it that far, they're probably an ambassador by then. And that's why I love seeing newsletters that have referrals and you earn points or awards or whatever when you refer X amount of people your business. Because they made it down the funnel. Usually by then, if you refer people, they have your information. You already did the lead generation side of it.
They already work with you, they have an experience with you, and they can actually vouch for you. Okay, so all of this can be done basically bootstrap, that you don't really need.
Yes.
Yeah, like you don't, that's just what I'm hearing. Like you don't need to spend a lot of money. I
Just
love
elbow grease.
I
You
love
just need some
that.
elbow grease.
I love that you're saying that because it just sheds so much light that you can have a business and you can have it at like low cost. I mean, low budgets, which is really, really cool. It takes longer though, right? But it doesn't have to, it doesn't convert as fast, I would say. What do you think? What are your thoughts there?
That's a great, I love that you called that out because it just came to me. I'm like, well, is it actually longer? Because if we compare, and sure, maybe we're talking to some entrepreneurs born 2000 after,
Okay.
but I'm thinking of the 80s and the 90s. And to build a business then, that took time.
Yeah.
That took actual time. You had to find a lawyer. You probably had a brick and mortar. You had to get the real estate. Then you need to get, I don't know how many licenses and clearances.
Yeah.
Then the business itself. Then the supplies of the business. So like a Xerox machine, a fax, da 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 da, all those things. And you haven't even made one sale yet.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a long period.
Yeah.
That's a long time. And sure, in today's age, one of my mentors called it the microwave generation. We expect things so quickly. And sure, it can be quick due to the internet, thank goodness, but also quick with money. You have to pay into that to make it quick. So if you're going to bootstrap and do everything for free, technically you're actually still faster compared to how it was in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. So, in comparison to generations and how things were back in the day to now, we are definitely faster. But because all the generations now want everything so quick, they didn't have any experiences like the ones before. They think it actually takes longer. I like that you said that. That's actually a really good like contrast, and very good perspective on how much we have evolved, right? Like how much we have grown, not only like digitally but business wise, and how are we regressing with our minds.
Yeah, and I forgot what was the book called. It's probably the 10 years something, but I think you know how most successful businesses are not successful until they hit year 10.
Yeah. Yeah.
It takes 10 years. Oh, 10,000 hours. I think that's the book is called
Okay.
10,000 hours or something like that. It takes 10 years. So I understand, especially the generations younger than me are like, oh, I'm going to do this. And it's going to be overnight. It's like nothing is overnight. Still to this day, it still takes 10 years. So we need to change our expectations.
Yeah.
So we are able to then have the endurance.
Yeah.
Because entrepreneurship is endurance. It's a marathon. It's not a quick little sprint. Yes, there's hurdles in there, but it's not a sprint.
Mm-hmm.
You're sprinting,
Yeah.
but it's still a marathon. It's gonna take time.
I love that you said that. I love that you put in perspective 10 years. And actually when I go back when you said it right now, the companies that I have worked with that actually, for example, Vegamore went for a huge acquisition. I don't think they were in business for that. I mean, for that short amount of time. They were like 10 years, like what you said, 7 or 10 years before they got their big moment. Tone It Up, which was a huge brand. They were like 7 or 10 years as well before they got. So yeah, I mean, it's left to say that nothing good is quick.
And nothing that will last is quick because the data does show that 95% of businesses fail in the first 2 to 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, that's for a multitude of reasons, of course, but in the end, going back to nothing quick to make it last, then that mindset needs to be
Mm-hmm.
honestly at the founder's forefront
Mm-hmm.
when they build their business.
Mm-hmm.
So going back to what are your goals? What are your KPIs? What do
Mm-hmm.
you want to measure your success by?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then I usually tell my enterprise clients and my startups, same thing. All right, let's buckle up. We're going to be here for quite some time. Here's your strategy for the next 30, 60, 90,
Yeah.
plus fiscal one, fiscal two,
Yeah.
if you want to continue, and contingencies.
Yeah.
So when it comes to large enterprises who are probably, for example, like a Microsoft, most likely those products are going to be absorbed by other companies
Okay.
within Microsoft because it just happens.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to also plan for that. It's like, oh, what if you roll up into another product?
Mm-hmm.
How's that going to look like?
Mm-hmm.
How can you future proof yourself?
Mm-hmm. So
And that
it's
applies to both sides.
So it's basically kind of like the same perspective, no matter the growth, like startup or enterprise. Like you're looking at things 30, 60, 90, that contingencies, like different kinds of strategies. Like you see the roll ups, or are we going in the expansion here? Are we acquiring here? Right? Like it's
Mm-hmm.
kind of like the same thing. So, but
Mm-hmm.
in challenges wise, what are some challenges that the enterprises do that, even though they're enterprises?
Great question. Challenges. Too much money. No, I'm kidding. Yes and no, because the more money you have, then the mindset would be, oh, we could just spend the dollars and it'll be
Mm-hmm.
all fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Or, yeah, that's really a short answer. And I always advise to still not do that. For example, I remember I was naming a few products back in the day for Microsoft as well. And the name wasn't true to the product, or it wasn't product truth. And I'm like, hey, in terms of scalability, you're probably gonna have to change the name. Or if the name is already taken by another corporation, trademarked, I'm like, are you ready for that fight as well to have the lawyers go against that?
Mm-hmm.
And when it comes to just ensuring companies have what they need, I just want to ensure that first off, it's like, hey, team, do you have someone for each position? Like, do you have an engineer actually on call for your team, not somewhere else on the enterprise side,
Mm-hmm.
or a PMM, a product marketing manager, as well as a project
Mm-hmm.
manager as well. Just having all the roles fulfilled to cocoon the product or the project or the campaign. And I think that same applies to actually startups too. Sure, you may not have the budget to hire for every single role in the beginning,
Mm-hmm.
but at least have an understanding in the founder self, book out your week as you were a different role each day. Like, okay, on Monday, you're the founder. On
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday, you're the marketer.
Mm-hmm.
On Wednesday, you're the accountant. Like, break it up so you're not breaking up your mind, because yes, you could break it up per day, but we already know the science behind our brains. It takes longer to switch back and forth,
Yeah.
especially quickly,
Mm-hmm.
and to be focused.
Mm-hmm.
So just use not 24 hours, but use each day. So 12 hours a day, whatever it takes
Uh-huh.
to be each role. So on the enterprise side, I'm like, we could afford to have someone in each
Yeah.
role. But on the startup side, you probably can't. So you and hopefully one other person, or you or three other people, divvy up those roles in a clear way, like a RACI, roles and responsibilities spreadsheet, and have that aligned. And there's tools to help you with that too. I think Trello's still free. I actually just use reminders on the Apple app. There's so many different ways to really like dissect what needs to get done,
Mm-hmm.
so no one feels overworked or overstrapped, and you can then get to the finish line of whatever that could look like.
Oh, I love that you said that. That's a really good advice. Just wear one hat each day, not what everybody does that wears a hat one hat each hour. So it's like kind of like all over the place. Don't get anything done, but you're still doing a lot of stuff, and we're so busy, right? But if you just organize yourself and your mind and you shift that way, then you're probably going to feel better about what you're doing and probably get to the end result with the success that you want. You talked about
Mm-hmm.
KPIs. What are some KPIs that you think that that at early stage should be monitored, and also going for an exit?
Great question. So KPIs in the end are all made up. You just make it up, right? Because you can be like, my form of success is 2 customers per month. Great. It is made up. You made it up. You made it up. So that's my biggest lesson after building my first startup. I was like, wow, everything is literally made up. This is crazy. You could do anything now. But when it comes to your made up KPI think the key here is you commit to it, right? Because you don't have a true north. If you don't know where you're going, then you're never going to get there.
Yeah.
We're just doing this all the time.
Yeah.
So the KPIs, in the end, if you need your business to succeed and survive, then the main KPI number one is sales, right? How much money do you need to make to keep your business alive? And then honestly, I would even stop there. I would add maybe a 20% on top of that because you never know.
Yeah.
Things can always happen.
Yeah.
Always happen. So that would be the first KPI. Your sales times 0.20. Then work backwards. What are you selling? Because obviously I don't know. What are you selling? What's the price point of the selling? What's the SKU, architecture? Like, what is it? And then from there, you can understand how many customers do I need to get to that sale?
Yeah.
So customer acquisition costs, so your CAC, but then how many customers as well, and at the pace, month over month, as well as your sales goal, hopefully month over month too. And for me, that's really what I focus on the most, because without those two, then you don't have a business anyway. So for any startup, and really even enterprise too, have those two things extra clear, and you're running towards those goals. And then you have more room to play. And I love the business of play. So what does that mean? Now you can start being fancy with your operations because you have more money now. You could hire more people because why? You have more money now. You could probably even hire an agency because why? You have more money now. So without that, you can't do anything. But at the same time, that's a life lesson. Because even as a human running your own home, whether it's an apartment or a house, those are the same KPIs technically. How many people you need to feed, one or two, who knows, and how much money are you bringing in? Without those two things, what are we doing?
I love that you said that. So basically, customer acquisition costs, like what does it take to bring each customer to the table, to the roof, to become a paying customer? And then are you growing month over month as well? Because that's really important to have those metrics. How do somebody asked me this at an event a long time ago, and they said to me, how do you forecast organic revenue? Like, so I'm going to give you that question.
Organic. Well, organic is free. So I don't know about the revenue part, but I think I know what they're asking.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. It's so when I officially say at my corporate meetings, I'm like, it's just vibes. Like that's just extra. Just going on vibes at this point. Because you can't really organically, literally by definition, organically, you cannot control how many people will show up to execute whatever it is you're asking on your business. Organic is a must have, but also a nice to have. And what do I mean? So going back to just say the startup life, you have to do organic because it's free.
Yeah.
You might as well owned and organic. But two is once you have enough people bought in through the organic phase, you should then be investing, aka spending marketing dollars to now be able to actually forecast what that's going to look like. Because organic, you can't really control that, and that's the battle between usually the business side and the marketers. Because a lot of it is just, for lack of a better term, it is just vibes. You're like, look, we're A/B testing. The A/B testing is vibes. You're just throwing it out there and like, okay, what's going to happen? Oh, A worked better than B. Okay, delete B. We're running with A. Oh, looks like B worked more. Delete A, run with B.
Yeah.
Vibes. It's just vibes.
Yeah. Yeah, that is so true. Like, I mean, marketing is basically A/B testing what you said, right? Like, because you can get all of the parts of the formula, the variables together and very nailed down, but if A and B don't work, then you gotta go to C. You gotta try something new until it works.
Until it works. But then it goes back to diversity in the table,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if we actually know who we're going to talk to,
Yeah.
what we're selling, of course, you should know what you're selling at your business. But if you know who you're going to talk to and you get an idea of how many people, depending where you're going, like say you're only focusing on the United States, you can find, and per state too, you can find in theory how many people of that background reside there.
Okay.
So you
Interesting.
could target that specifically. Now, it doesn't guarantee you're going to get everybody. It's never going to happen.
Yeah.
But just like when you're planning a party, always expect at least 20% of those people to cancel, whatever the volume is.
Mm-hmm.
And then you work backwards from there. So when you're planning for food, when you're planning for seats or gift bags, all these other things, the math is still the same. Because you learn that a lot in public relations too. When you're creating swag bags for people in events,
Mm-hmm.
sure, you're going to make all the bags because you never know. But it's been always the same, about 20% drop off rate, especially like the day of, because things happen.
Okay. That's really good to know. So the 20% rule, I like that you're saying that. But when it comes, so you know that when you're scaling a business and you work with Microsoft and enterprises, so you will know what I'm talking about. There's a moment that is like, okay, let's calculate how much of this revenue is organic versus paid, and how much the organic revenue is, becoming increasing over month, and then is the ratio of marketing coming down as the percentage of organic is coming up. How do you get to those places?
I love that because I think that all anchors back to the CAC, right?
Yeah.
Because in the beginning, in the beginning, you should be bootstrapping. But when you have the funds in that beginning, because every finish line is a new starting line, in that beginning, that's when unfortunately, your customer acquisition cost might be really high.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But then how do you know you're successful? It should be going lower and lower and lower
Mm-hmm.
because why? Your customers bought into your brand.
Yeah.
They're ambassadors now.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's a way to measure if you've been successful,
Mm.
especially in your marketing,
Mm.
if the cost of advertising
Mm-hmm.
goes down.
Mm-hmm.
Now, alternatively, I can hear someone else say, well, I just spent all this money on a Super Bowl commercial. My cost went up. Well, that was a choice. That was a choice. That didn't have to be part of your strategy. It's a nice to have,
Yeah.
not a need to have.
Yeah.
And I think every founder, because my assumption is every marketer, we fully understand this. We have this battle every single time we enter to meetings with our business counterparts and we show them our plan. They're like, that's expensive. We're like, well, this is necessary.
Yeah.
But when it comes to founders or people without a strong marketing background, there has to be a strong understanding and delineation between a nice to have and a need to have. And that's what I always see. I see too many people spending money on nice to haves
Mm.
versus what do you actually need? If all the money was taken away, in theory,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just you, what would that look like?
Mm-hmm.
Like, think very lean,
Yeah.
very lean.
Very lean. Yeah. You brought some really good points. That diversity piece is really important. How it ties down to communication. How you gotta scale lean, like think in lean terms, not just spend money on nice to haves. So obviously, PR is nice to have. It's not really a must have.
Asterisks with an asterisk. Paying to get your PR is a nice to have.
Okay.
You can organically do your own PR,
Okay.
and that's going to take some elbow grease. I remember when I used to work at a WeWork in Manhattan, it was a lot of elbow grease PR where luckily, and I think you still can find it. So at the time, AI didn't exist.
Mm.
So I used Google and I created like a formula, right? It's like, okay, journalist in Manhattan and covering this beat and da 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 da. Do you remember that? Like
Yeah.
all capital ands to make it work? Okay. So like a Boolean query almost. So I had to Boolean query ways to find emails of journalists. And what's so fascinating for those who want to do things lean, those lists are floating in the internet. You will find a list of like somebody made a spreadsheet of journalist lists with their emails, titles, and everything. So then I would find those lists through a lot of Googling. And then I would either, because if their number's there, then I would cold call. So that's, again, PR.
Mm-hmm.
Cold call every journalist. I would write the press release because, you know, you got to give them something, and then hand it to them after they agree to on the phone call. And I would also email those who I have the emails of with the same things. Like, hey, you know, this is the brand I'm representing. Here's the press release. This was coming out. And also, there's a party happening on Friday. I would love for you to be there. So PR doesn't, you don't have to pay always. There's so many things you have to pay for. And I think that's the Latina in me. I'm like, why are we spending money? Save dollars. Save the dollars. Just work. Just get to work. And so, yeah, so that's what I mean with PR with an asterisk.
So you have done your whole PR basically, like from the beginning yourself. Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Yeah.
Creativity. And what I loved
Yeah.
so much, working in WeWork opened my mind to so many possibilities because it's an incubator, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of all entrepreneurs. And back then, 2000, so it was 2012, it was in its heyday. So you just being in person, which is another topic in itself, going in person into these office spaces, listening to so many entrepreneurs of what they're doing, how they're doing it, and their friction points gives you insight into and what I'm doing. Is it not even sufficient or streamlined? Is it helpful?
Okay.
Am I being smart about my moves? Am I being strategic about my moves?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that goes back to this playbook that somehow is floating out there when it comes to marketing. Everyone's doing the same thing, but I'm like, is it for you?
Mm.
Is it for you?
Okay. Tailor it for you. Basically, the marketing playbook is out there, but it's a guideline. It really doesn't have to be the same for everybody.
It's not. It's not.
Okay.
It's not.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you bring in some really good points because it's true. And I feel like everybody that's listening and everybody and myself included and everybody in my network know that there's so many agencies out there obviously that come in and they tell you you need this, it's going to be 5,000. You need that, it's going to be 6,000. And I keep thinking, why are there no other agencies that just charge you like 200 or like 500, or like three, like some, everybody just wants to charge you so much money, and then you have to do it all by yourself. And for people that are out there that don't even know where to start, like they don't, you're a go-getter, Denise. Like, how do you tell
Yes,
people
yes.
right now how to start doing this marketing and branding by themselves?
Yeah, I love that you brought up how to start, how expensive agencies are. As a former account director, I will definitely tell you there's a reason it's so expensive. One, cost of living.
Okay, yeah, of course, yeah,
You're not just paying for the bill of material. You're not just paying for this white paper.
yeah,
What you're actually paying for is for the expertise of that person.
mm-hmm, yeah,
You're paying for expediency
mm,
because going back to elbow grease in time, you founder can do all this yourself. And sure, you're like, oh, that was $5. But was it? How much is your time? How much are you worth?
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Now translate that to the agency.
mm-hmm,
Same thing. That's their bread and butter.
mm-hmm,
And they have people to feed, literally.
mm-hmm,
And then on top of that, they are hopefully hiring people who have this deep expertise in their subject matter or SME, subject matter expert,
mm-hmm,
right? So that's what you're actually paying for. There was someone who told me an example of a doctor. Like the reason surgeons are so expensive, you're not paying for like that one surgery. You're paying for their decades of education
mm-hmm.
and consistency and patience and responsibility. You want that doctor, you want to hire the doctor that spent all that time studying the one thing to fix you versus someone who would charge you so little, but I'm like, are you going to be alive when they're
Are
done?
you yes.
You know?
Are you gonna be breathing? So you're basically saying you're paying for expertise for an age, like for the professional expertise that each person and team brings to the table. So do you think that we're gonna get to a place now that AI is here where maybe these agencies are gonna start leverage AI more and charging less?
Yes, and so I can tell you from firsthand what's happening across the agencies. There's a lot of consolidation happening, and not just due to AI, it's also just the business landscape and the political landscape too. So there's a lot of consolidation with agencies. So that's one thing. And then secondly,
Mhm.
when it comes to AI and agencies, yes, there is a reduction of headcount within these agencies because
Mhm.
AI. But at the same time, are they
Mhm.
going to go cheaper? No, they're not going to reduce their prices because inflation is still, prevalent.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the price of eggs.
Yeah. Oh my God. Don't even get me
Inflation is
started.
very real.
Don't even get me started with the
Exactly.
price of eggs. I just can't.
So they won't reduce their prices,
Yeah.
but what's going to happen is you will have work that will be executed more quickly
Mhm.
because the copywriter will still have their job, but the copywriter can then take on more projects and
Mhm.
use AI to help speed up their work.
Mhm.
I don't believe, or nor should it happen. It probably will though. I don't believe how AI can take a full job. What I think is we need more humans to be thinkers and
Mhm.
then use AI as their assistant.
Mhm.
It shouldn't do everything for you because number one, it still has a tone, it still has a voice, or it's not applicable to this arena, but I like to call it a patina. AI has this like patina where you could tell, oh, this was crafted by a machine,
Mhm.
not by a human.
Mhm.
So for founders or for people like you and I who's using AI, going back to like content writing and things like that, please don't just copy and paste.
Mhm. Yeah.
Take what the AI machine gave you, whatever tool you use,
Yeah.
Claude, Copilot, Perplexity, Gemini, whatever.
Mhm.
Use that, but then rewrite it.
Mhm. Mhm.
Infuse your voice, infuse your emotion,
Mhm.
infuse your brand
Mhm.
into it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you said that. Please you don't just copy and paste because there's so much of that going on right now. Like people are using AI and they're also abusing AI. So it's going both ways. Okay, I'm going to ask you some personal questions.
Yes,
What
ma'am.
does self care mean to you, and how do you incorporate that into your daily routine?
Ooh, love it. So self care is always coming back to myself. So
I love it. That's sweet.
right now, that looks like waking up like at 7. So it's not that early, but waking up at 7 and going to the gym first thing in the morning. Because I believe when you do hard things, you are stronger to take on more.
Yeah.
So entrepreneurship, as we all know, is not easy at all. It's not easy at all. And when it comes to entrepreneurship, so many things are coming at you. You can put all your energy into that or go to the gym, work out your muscles, your brain, everything. And it makes you stronger to take on what the world throws at you, which will feel so much less more painful
Mm-hmm.
because you've already strengthened your muscles in a different arena.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I've been doing with this crazy shift of jobs and philanthropies and just travel. Life is full. So,
Yeah.
how to be on top of it is to push myself even further, more specifically in the gym. So, when I'm answering emails or doing speaking engagements, it doesn't feel tough because I already put my energy into another arena.
Mm-hmm. Wow, yeah, you also have a full plate too. You have a lot of stuff going on. So for you to make the space in the morning, yeah, I mean it's true. You are a very busy person. So you're always traveling. I mean, we talked it way before you went to France and now you're going to San Francisco. You're busy. So for you to actually take the time and say, I'm gonna wake up at this time and go to the workout, it's doable for everybody else because you are so busy. And that's what I keep telling people. Like we do have the same 24 hours a day. I mean, it's not like one person has more than the other. So thank you for shedding
Hmm.
light there. Now, would
Hmm.
you rather be at a mountain and an ocean or a lake, and why?
That's not fair. And this is why I live in Seattle. I live in downtown Seattle. So that means I have the Puget Sound 2 blocks away. I have the mountains, not blocks away, but it's right there, like 20-minute drive, boom. And then I have a lake literally behind me, also an hour walk or like a 10-minute drive. So that's why I chose the city because I couldn't decide between those three at all. I was like, wait, no. So if I had to choose one, the water,
The water. A lake or
water,
an ocean? What would it be?
ocean,
Ocean?
ocean. Yes.
You like more the ocean?
I choose the ocean. I don't know. I feel like I'm lying right now. Because, for example, when I'm in Colombia, where my family is, we're in Cali. I'm not near an ocean at all.
Okay.
I'm cocooned. I'm in the valley, so I'm cocooned by mountains,
Okay.
and it's stunning. And so I can do without the ocean. I don't know. It's just, that's a hard one.
That is a hard one. I feel like it's by stages of life. Like I've been in the ocean, I've been in the mountains, and now I'm by the lake. And I feel like each stage in your life just brings something like where you want to be, right?
Yeah.
That's what I think. I'm
Yeah.
with it.
I can't decide. That's literally why I'm in Seattle, actually. Like, I'm in the Puget Sound because I can't decide between lake, ocean, mountain. I'm like, I want them all. So here we are. It's right there.
And you guys have beautiful mountains, I have to say. Oh my God. Gorgeous. I know it rains there
It's
all the time,
gorgeous.
but it's beautiful. Like it's I don't even care about
Yes.
the rain, having the beautiful mountains. Okay, last question, personal one. If you had the opportunity to meet someone and sit next to them at dinner, who would that be and what would you ask them?
Wow. So it is a slightly easy question because her name is Megan Sussex, the
Okay.
Duchess. I admire her so much.
Mm.
And if the opportunity ever comes to converse with her, I would honestly just ask her, just how are you doing, honestly? Because there's so much noise in the media about her life. And I love that she's taking ownership of her voice with putting out her own stuff. So for me, it's just more like, how are you doing? How's mentorship going? What else do you want to see in the world? But I'll just start with one. How are you doing?
Oh, I love that. That is a deep question, Denise. That is like a emotional connection, like you actually care. Like it's really nice. Wow. Okay. So, do you have any? Do you have anything that? Do you want to talk about something that I haven't asked you yet?
No, I think since this is going to a very specific audience of like founders and entrepreneurs, and as a marketing advisor for so many different companies, I just want to remind everybody, please, 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 please don't spend any additional funds unless you don't have to. I know there's a shiny allure of spend all this money with a PR agency, spend all this money with a marketing agency. I get it. When you're in networking rooms and people are just showing their cards and it's very sexy. And I'm like, yeah, that's cool. But for real, don't spend. If you don't have to, don't do it. Yes, bootstrapping, greasing your elbow, it takes work. But we know what's cool about doing that though? You really get to understand your audience or the voice of the customer. You really get to be on the ground floor understanding them, which will only help you grow your business faster. So that's the biggest takeaway I would like to give.
I love that. And I thank you for saying that because I'm a firm believer. And although I do support a lot of startups in fundraising and in getting investor capital, that's a lot of what I do for a living. I am a strong believer in supporting founders that are bootstrapping, even though, I know that money doesn't come as easily. I do believe, like Sarah Blakely with Spanx, she raised this huge company to 1 billion valuation and sold it and bootstrapped it the whole way. I do believe on that success story, and I feel like everybody can have a success story. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I do believe it. I always try to remind my mentees, it's like, hey, we live in the United States of America. Regardless of everything that's happening, when you look at other countries, we are still the most positioned to grow a business and sustain it and be able to just make it work. So,
yeah.
yeah,
I love
it's
that. So
important.
many great takeaways and nuggets of information and inspiration that you have given us, Denise. Communication wise, community really important, bootstrapping, networking, strategies, the list goes on. And the biggest thing is your sense of humor and your empathy and I mean the person that you are. So thank you for being here today. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alejandra. I'm grateful for this.
And for everybody that's listening, adios muchachos. Hasta la vista. Bye.
Ciao.